Lies, accusations, and destruction. How my life became a nightmare and I turned it around. I woke up that day with a feeling that something was wrong, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. My name is Lucas. I'm 28 years old, and I grew up believing I had a loving family in the suburbs of São Paulo. I was always the dedicated, studious, and athletically passionate son, winning medals at school and in local championships. I had a seemingly perfect life, and I prided myself on the balance I managed to maintain between studying, training, and friendship. My adopted sister Mariana was only 15 at the time, and I always strived to be a good brother, protecting her from any problems and supporting her through her insecurities, especially when she was bullied at school. I never imagined my life could turn upside down in a matter of seconds. That day started like any other, but ended up being the day that changed my life forever. Mariana fabricated an accusation I never imagined anyone could make against me. She said horrible things, alleging sexual abuse. My heart stopped. There was no investigation, no explanation, no chance to defend myself. My parents, Carlos and Renata, believed her immediately. I was thrown out of the house, lost and confused, unable to understand how a lie could destroy everything I had built. The feeling of betrayal was physical, a knot in my chest that left me breathless, mixed with anger and disbelief. I felt my world crumble in an instant, as if every step I had taken up until that point had been erased. In the following days, reality hit me hard. I lost my home, my financial support, and my college education, everything I had achieved through hard work and discipline. With every unanswered call, every glance averted from me on the street, I felt my dignity crumbling. The nights were endless. I slept poorly and woke up feeling worse. I began to live in constant fear, hiding from people, distrusting even the most innocent glances. Hunger, cold, and urban violence became daily companions. I began to think that no one would ever believe my word and that I would lack the strength to carry on. Little by little, my anger turned to despair. I no longer knew who to trust. My own family had abandoned me without question. I remembered all the times I had protected Mariana, all the sacrifices I had made to help her. Each memory became a knife in my soul, and the feeling of injustice was overwhelming. The hardest night, I remember, was when I leaned my head against the cold wall of my makeshift bedroom and felt like disappearing forever. Life seemed hopeless. The thought of suicide loomed with a force I never imagined, but something inside me still wanted to live, even without knowing how. It was at this point, on the verge of giving up, that I met Frank, a retired war veteran who seemed to appear out of nowhere, but arrived at just the right time. He offered me shelter, a simple but honest job, and a direction I couldn't find on my own. His firm yet patient manner was unlike anything I'd known. For the first time since the accusation, I felt a glimmer of hope, however small. Frank didn't treat me like a broken boy. He saw my potential, not my past, marked by lies. His presence gave me the strength to think maybe it was possible to rebuild something, even if I didn't yet know the way. At first, each day felt like a losing battle. I would wake up early, exhausted, my body aching from the physical labor Frank assigned me to earn my living. At first, I often balked, questioning why he cared, as if I still didn't deserve anything. But gradually, I realized that this discipline, though harsh, gave me something I hadn't had in years: control. Every effort, every sweat was a reminder that I could make something of myself, that I still had value. The heavy feeling in my chest began to ease, replaced by a weariness that was, somehow, healthy. As I rebuilt my body, my mind was still in shambles. Nightmares woke me in the middle of the night, remembering the accusation and the look my parents gave me when they kicked me out. Sometimes, I found myself staring into space, unable to face the day. At these times, Ryan, my closest friend, would call me, offering simple but sincere words. He wasn't trying to fix everything, he was just there. It was the first time in a long time that I felt someone truly saw me, and this silent presence began to open a space within me to believe that perhaps I wasn't alone in this. Chaos. The first mistakes came quickly. I tried to appear too strong. I tried to rush the rebuilding process, and I ended up exhausting myself, making mistakes that cost me days of physical and emotional pain. But Frank was always there, correcting me without humiliating me, reminding me that rebuilding takes time. Little by little, I learned to accept my limitations and appreciate each small achievement. Paying my first bill on my own, going back to school, landing a small security contract. Each step, however small, was a silent victory that I allowed myself to celebrate alone, but which reminded me that a future was still possible. Therapy also entered my life during this period. At first, I resisted, thinking that talking about pain was a sign of weakness, but each session helped me name my feelings, realize that I wasn't guilty, and that my life didn't need to be defined by a lie. Little by little, the weight of the accusation began to fade. The anger still lingered, but it began to be tempered with awareness. I knew that allowing hatred to control my life would get me nowhere. I learned to differentiate justice from revenge and began to understand that my reconstruction depended solely on me. It was during this process, between work, therapy, and support from a few genuine people, that I met Sophia. She entered my life unexpectedly but naturally. Intelligent, independent, and possessing a quiet strength, she showed me that genuine love doesn't require explanation, that trust and vulnerability were still possible. I felt my heart, once heavy, open again, albeit slowly. Every conversation with her, every gesture, reminded me that life could still be beautiful even after so much suffering. I began to realize that rebuilding my life didn't mean erasing the pain, but learning to walk with it, bearing the scars that told my story of survival. Over time, I managed to stabilize my financial and emotional life. I finished the college I had dropped out of, finally, earning my degree on my own merit, and landed my first job in specialized security, something that gave me pride and autonomy. Each victory was accompanied by bitter memories of the past, but at the same time, it motivated me not to return to that state of hopelessness. The feeling of achieving something with my own hands, without relying on anyone who could betray me, was liberating. I felt stronger, even when loneliness knocked on the door. Even with concrete achievements, the past still haunted me. Memories of Mariana, of the accusations and rejection from my parents, surfaced at unexpected moments, tightening my chest. Sometimes I wondered if I could forgive and truly move on. These moments were painful, but necessary. Each time I was able to look at myself without feeling inferior, I realized that rebuilding was more than financial or professional. It was emotional. I was learning to trust again, to believe in my worth, and to realize that I deserved love and respect. Sophia became my safe haven, not only for loving me, but for challenging me to be better, for making me face the fears I still harbored. With her, I learned to be patient with myself, to deal with insecurities, and to value the present without being held hostage by the past. Together, we built a home, a safe space where our feelings could exist undisguised. Her presence showed me that rebuilding is also about allowing yourself to feel happiness again, even after so much pain. My time with Frank also remained essential. He continually reminded me that discipline and consistency were more important than grand gestures or immediate results. The routine of work, training, and study became my anchor, keeping me from losing my way again. Every challenge I faced, every obstacle in my professional or personal path, I approached with the mindset that if I survived the worst, I could overcome anything. This realization gave me the courage to pursue new projects and opportunities, always knowing that my life was in my own hands, Years later, when I finally achieved stability, Mariana returned to my life with a confession I never imagined I would hear. She had lied. The initial shock gave way to a mixture of relief and contained rage. I could have exploded. I could have destroyed everything around me, but something inside me had changed. I forgave her, not by forgetting the pain, but by not allowing her lie to control my life again. I maintained my autonomy and did not allow my family to take advantage of my reconstruction. For the first time, I felt truly free, not from the memories, but from the emotional slavery that had once dominated me. My marriage to Sophia was a silent victory in my life. It wasn't just a celebration of love, but proof that I could build something genuine without masks, without fear of past betrayals. I remember the day I realized I could smile without thinking about the past, feeling complete happiness even though I still carried scars. It was a strange and liberating feeling at the same time. My heart finally found space for joy and confidence, something I hadn't felt in years. At work, I achieved a stability I never imagined. I began leading teams in specialized security, something that required discipline, responsibility, and quick decision-making. Each completed project was more than professional. It was a daily reminder that I could forge my own path, even after being unfairly knocked down. The respect I gained in my professional environment reminded me that my worth didn't depend on the approval of those who had abandoned me. I learned to look back on my journey and feel proud, even with all the obstacles I faced. Little by little, my most painful memories began to fade. Not because I forgot, but because I learned to deal with them. The anger toward Mariana, my parents' abandonment, the sleepless nights. All of this became fuel for my resilience. I discovered that I didn't need to erase the past to be happy. I just needed to integrate it into my life in a way that no longer destroyed me. Each painful memory became a reminder of strength, not defeat. Raising my son with Sophia brought another dimension of learning. Teaching values, offering emotional support, and building a safe routine showed me that I could break cycles and create bonds of trust. Fatherhood gave me renewed purpose, something that filled the spaces left empty by pain and injustice. Every smile, every achievement my son had was also a small victory. For me, a confirmation that I had managed to rebuild my life. Despite having overcome so much, I still feel twinges of pain when I remember what I experienced. But now, this pain doesn't paralyze me. It reminds me that I can face anything. I've learned that reconstruction isn't linear, that it's normal to stumble, but that strength lies in continuing. If there's one thing I want anyone reading this to understand, it's that even in the face of the worst injustice, even when all seems lost, there is a path to recovery, step by step, with the right people by your side, and enough courage to not give up. Over the past few years, I've learned to value each small achievement as a major victory. Paying my own bills, having a secure roof over my head, completing college, building a solid career. All of this now has a different flavor because it was achieved without relying on the approval of anyone who tried to bring me down. I feel like my life has been rebuilt, not despite the pain, but through it. Each challenge has shaped me, made me more resilient, more aware of what truly matters. I've learned that life is fragile and that our inner strength can be infinite when we find reasons to keep going. My relationship with Mariana changed, but not in the way I imagined. I forgave her because anger could no longer govern my choices, but I kept my distance to protect my peace. This decision isn't about justice or revenge, it's about self-preservation and learning. I understood that forgiving doesn't mean allowing others to benefit from our efforts, but rather freeing ourselves from the burden we carry because of them. This awareness gave me peace of mind and power, allowing me to move forward without being held hostage by the past, living my life fully and consciously. Sophia and my son are my anchor, my daily motivation to keep growing. With them, I learned that it's possible to create a world different from the one I knew, filled with support, love, and respect. Life still brings challenges, of course, but they're manageable because I now have tools, discipline, trustworthy people, and most importantly, self-confidence. Each day lived with purpose and presence is a reminder that overcoming is possible, even after the worst injustice. What I most want whoever reads my story to understand is that no one has to accept being defined by lies, accusations, or betrayals. Even when all seems lost, it's possible to rebuild, learn to trust again, and create a life that reflects our true worth. I won't lie, it hurts, it's difficult, and there are days of weakness, but each step, taken with courage and consistency, transforms life into something worth living. Rebuilding is slow, but every step forward is worth it. Today, looking back, I'm proud of myself, not just for having survived, but for having managed to create something better with what was left. The pain still exists, but it doesn't dominate me. My life is proof that it's possible to rise again, even when everything seems lost, and that there are people and opportunities that appear exactly when we need them most. Anyone reading this should believe reconstruction is possible, and it's worth every effort, every tear, and every step toward freedom.